Hey everybody! Welcome to Northern Lion Plays City Skylines. This is a new series that I'm going to be doing on Colossal Order and Paradox, not Development Studio, but Paradox Interactive, the publishing division of Paradox's City Builder that is coming out next week. This is not going to be a critical look at it. That'll come closer to the actual time of the game's release with the Let's Look At that I'll be doing. But I played about 4 hours of this last night, so I'm in the mood to play another City Builder. It's been a while. It's been about a year, a little bit over a year, I guess, since I played Banished, and nearly that long since I played Tropico 5. So I'm excited to get back into it. I've played enough to kind of get my feet wet, and we'll get started here. Inevitably, I'm going to make a bunch of mistakes, but I hope you enjoy it nonetheless, because I'm having a good time with the game so far. We're going to start up a new game here. This is pre-release, so there's not really that much on the Steam Workshop, but I think all the stuff that is in here has actually been created by the developers of the game, and the community manager as well has been particularly prolific about getting this done. But anyway, we're going to start off with a simple map here, and we're going to go probably for Green Plains, just because it's the easiest one to actually build on, and we will rename this here. I don't know what I'm going to rename it to. Maybe we'll make it like Scumtopia. I know Roomba and Quill like to name them, a little bit more fanciful. Mathis will probably be like Methapolis. I'm just going to be Scumtopia. So you can see we've got our natural resources here in terms of forestry and coal and oil and stuff like that, and water as well. Outside connections, suitable area for building 75%. We could choose to put on left side traffic if we want, but we're not going to do that. Our goal in City Skylines is basically to build a functional city. There's a population cap of 1 million. But there's a lot more area to build on than some other city builders, so you can actually expand as time goes on. Like, we start with this plot here, which is, I think, 4 square kilometers, or like 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers. But, you can't really see it yet, I think. No, you can't. But eventually, as time goes on, we'll unlock more plots around us that we can build on. So we could probably hit, maybe 100,000 people on this plot itself, and then, expand to 1 million as we go further in. There is going to be a little bit of a tutorial that pops up from time to time, so just get used to that. But for now, you start every game of City Skylines with a connection going on here. Now, one of the things we do have to worry about is our money. Our money is, the lifeblood of actually building a city. We can take on loans and stuff like that, but we need to make sure that we are making money, or at least not spending so much that we're going to go into bankruptcy and our city is going to fall into, very difficult times as time goes on. So, roads are expensive. Pretty much everything's expensive. But we're going to start by building a 2-lane road, and we'll build it up here just by clicking and dragging. We'll build like a $3,000 road. Should give us a decent amount of space over here for maybe like commercial use. And I'm going to build a 2-lane highway this way. And the reason I'm going to build a 2-lane highway this way, it's going to be a lot more expensive. But this allows traffic to flow a little bit better, which is important because, traffic is one of the principal things that becomes an issue in games like this. Traffic is one of those things you want to, come up with like nearly an ideal solution for if you can. So the larger your roads are, the less congestion you're going to have to deal with. And if we wanted to, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet just because financially speaking, we might not have the capital for it yet. But one of the things you could do is just go with like the upgrade tool and then upgrade this to 2 lanes. It'll only cost us like another 1,000 for 1,200, I guess. So we'll just do that just to make sure that like the roads coming into and out of the city are, pretty robust here. And then we'll go with 1-lane roads from this point on. Now, before we do really anything here, I'm just going to make sure that we have a good infrastructure set up in our city. So we have the opportunity to put down a few different kinds of power. We can either use a coal power plant, which is what I'm going to use, and if we mouse over there, you can see that costs 19,000 simoleons or whatever they're using. I don't want to get them in legal trouble here. And has an upkeep cost of 560 per week, but it puts out 40 megawatts of power, whereas we could also use, like, wind energy, which is a little bit cheaper, but it produces a lot less megawattage. But there's a cool, like, wind map, and you can see, depending on where you put it, how many megawatts it'll generate. But also, that orange circle is the noise pollution that'll result as a result of it. They produce, like, 0 air pollution, but a decent amount of noise pollution, so that'll make land value lower within that area of effect, so people won't be as likely to live there unless their needs are met, I guess, by it being low-value housing. But we're going to use the coal power plant, which has a similar kind of radius for noise pollution, but also does produce some air pollution as well. But we'll pop this down like right here. I'll talk a little bit about how power works as we get a little further along, but first things first, I'm just going to throw down a water pump that'll allow fresh water to get into our city, and then I'll throw down a sewage pipe, like a drainage pipe. And basically what this does is allows our toilets to work. And we'll have to place more of those as time goes on, and we also have to connect them. So the way that water works is actually pretty easy. You hear that tick, that means we've connected like 2 things successfully here. Water works pretty similar to Prison Architect, except that you don't need to actually you know, line up things directly to each individual house or each individual building, which would be terrible. Instead, it works in like an area of effect. Power works similarly, and you'll see that as we get a little bit further in here. But for now, you won't. I just want to see if maybe, like, I'm just going to unpause here. I'll talk about this as well. But hopefully this gets power. You can see there's like an area of effect on the power plant, that white outline. That's the power that it generates. Yeah, and then it actually does reach our water treatment plant, so we don't need to wire that up directly. And that goes for everything in the game. You don't need to use power lines to wire everything up directly, unless the aura is not touching, and the aura will spread. So it's kind of an abstraction of power, which is good, but we do need to make sure that our sewer system is powered, and it's going to take forever to expand that far. So we'll just spend about 2,000, I'm just going to call them credits here. We'll spend 2,000 credits here, setting up that power line, and then after a couple of ticks here, the drainage situation should be sorted. Just wait for that power thing to go away. Just wait for that power thing to go away. We're just going to wait for that. There we go. All right, now we can start to actually build our city here. And I've got a pretty rudimentary shell, as you can see, going on right here. But we need to figure out how we're going to zone this. My thinking is that we kind of put residential areas in the middle. We got 3 zones, the way that you would in like SimCity 5 or something like that. We get more zones as time goes on, but we have to unlock them by getting population bonuses. Our city right now has 0 people. So I think we put residential like in the middle, and then commercial on this side and industrial on this side. This way the residents have easy access both to work and to shopping, which is what they desire. So they will get a little bit of pollution for being close to the industrial zone, but I think the convenience of that is made up for. Or it's made up for in convenience. So let's create some city blocks here in an appropriate fashion. We need to zone some residential area before anything will happen. So let's... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. Pause. I've made a mistake. We're going to have to upgrade that road. I had the upgrade tool still active, so I just wasted like 400 credits there, but that's not that bad. Get out of here. I'm not going to blame you for that, but we're going to create a city block that goes up like this. Don't want to spend too much money here. We're in a little bit of a dangerous situation. Let's create some smaller blocks. We'll create a city block that goes up like this. And then a city block that goes up like this. The visualizations that you get, like those bars, like the road is the cylinder in the center, basically, the tube in the center. And then the blocks are where there's building space. So you actually want to have, like, at least in a lot of situations, you want to have as little space as possible between buildings in order to get the maximum kind of like density that you can get. For buildings within a space, if space is your limiting reagent, basically. So we'll just create like a road that comes up here. Like, is that gonna connect? Are those connected? Those are not connected. So we're gonna have to do a little finagle in here. Get rid of that. We get a small refund for it, and we'll just connect it like... Maybe we'll push this forward like 1 more block. This can get a little awkward from time to time, and then... I mean, that's ugly. It's like hideous, but it's workable, I think. Assuming that they actually can still use traffic there, even though it looks hideous. And then we'll just zone that industrial here. Like this. Oh, we don't want to fill all that in, but we can actually use like one of these brushes down here and then just paint where we don't want industrial to be. It's surprisingly therapeutic. And then we'll just paint across like this. And if we wanted to, we could even use finer control, like with this thing right here, and just fill in the, you know, couple of dots, like right there and probably right here. All right, so that's going to be our industrial zone. We're only at 22,000 money here, so this is not fantastic. By the way, people will start filtering in any moment here after I unpause. But we're just going to make a residential area quickly, and we'll make it in the middle here with a normal road. So we'll start on the exact opposite side of this area, like right here. And we'll just make a very small, kind of acceptably residential area. Sure, we'll leave like 1 space in between the buildings. That's fine. And actually, when I say small, it's actually going to be a lot larger than the industrial area, because I think you need more places for people to live than you need for them to work, as strange and perhaps counterintuitive even as that might originally sound. Let's put this like here. Alright. So this will be our opening residential district, which is not going to be particularly big, but we'll be able to hold a decent number of people, and then we'll put down residential areas like, we'll use the fill tool, put down like a residential area here, here. These people are not going to love living like right next to that highway. It's not really a highway, but like the 4-lane road, they might not be super fans of that, but that's okay for now. And we should also create a road connecting this to our commercial area, which will be blue. And we'll just make like a small block of commercial stuff. I realize that I'm taking a little bit long, or a little bit of a long time here. But I'm doing so in order to make sure that we have a good foundation for our city to work with in the future, you know? This might look like hideous. Or that might be amazing for traffic. I'm not totally sure yet, but we'll quickly zone up just like a little bit of commercial. Commercial, I think, right off the bat has like the lowest demand. You know, this is looking ugly, but it's not as ugly as some of the other situations that I've dealt with. And we'll just zone this all up commercial for now, and we'll zone this up as residential. Now, we may need to make power lines as we on pause here. We may need to make power lines to actually bring power to the rest of our town. But what I'm hoping is that actually if we go fast enough here, if people start joining the town... Oh, there they go. They started to pop up. Good. As businesses start to pop up, power should just spread naturally from, like, one building to the others. But they might be, like, super pissed off for a little while they're waiting for power. But that's all right. They can deal with it. If they want to move away, basically, so be it. We'll still be able to deal with it for now. And I should, you know, make sure that I'm bringing water to all of these areas. So we'll just drag this out like this. Very easy system for water. I find power a little bit cumbersome, but that's on me. We'll end up building a lot of power plants as time goes on, just to satisfy the endless needs of our people. I hope that that's not a big problem there. There we go. Just cover that up. And just a little bit more here. All right, so we're down to 7,000 credits, which is not great, and we're losing 1,445 credits per week. That's not good, but we are actually gaining some people now. We should start gaining more money as more and more industrial buildings start to pop up. Now that we have some residential buildings, and maybe even like one commercial building, we should have some industrial buildings that start to show up here, and that will allow us to spread power. The other thing we could do is start building power lines, but I'd really rather not do that. Okay, so some industrial reasons, some industrial buildings are popping up here. This will allow the power to spread between them. So all we need is like a bridge to be made here with buildings. And once that actually happens, we probably should have chosen a different kind of setup for this, but once that actually happens, people will be a lot happier about their situation. But for now, they might be a little pissed. And you know what? That's all right. You have no water? How do you have no water over there? You're one block further. Right, I forgot that I had actually done that. So we'll set this up. I'm not sure if you actually need that extra connection, but we'll set it up nonetheless. And let it go. All right, so eventually the power will just kind of spread naturally as time goes on here. If you want to talk about other interface stuff, this is like our days. I have it set on the maximum speed right now just because we're waiting for our city to basically fill in. This is the name of our town. This is the demand. So low demand for residential, no demand for commercial, and a little bit higher demand for industry or offices. And we'll talk about offices later. Okay, they're getting like real pissed. This could be a terrible situation for me, but I'm hoping that it won't be, and we'll just be able to get power out there. I really don't want to have to make power lines. It's so frustrating. This building here is going to be like the bridge that can connect them all. But when they turn red, they're getting pretty mad about the whole situation, so I'm a little scared there. Oh, you don't have power yet? We need like 2 buildings to pop up here. You see, I probably should have designed it so the power plant was closer to the center, but I wanted to avoid the pollution, and I didn't think that this would actually be a major issue. I don't wanna, but we could build power lines to maybe stop. Yeah, the people are leaving. I hate the early game when it comes to power. Because the power lines, the problem with them is that they actually block construction. So we could build like, if we build a power line like this, it'll be good, and it'll actually connect the power to probably our whole city because the areas start to overlap with their actual, if that's inside of the aura there, which I think it is. I think we just gotta wait for some like in-game ticks to go by before it'll work. There we go. But it blocks construction right here, so it was a fix to our problem, but I wish I didn't have to do it. Anyway, we can demolish those later and build something else, and that'll be fine once we get a little bit more population density. So, other stuff. We're gaining 160 population per week right now, and we've reached our first milestone here. So we reached a population of 500. We've unlocked taxes, loans, which we will probably need, new services, garbage, healthcare, and education, so we can build a landfill site, an elementary school, and a medical clinic. This is actually really useful for us, and we picked up a little bit of extra cash just as a result of getting there as well. So we picked up 21,000 credits. We should really use that pretty much straight away to build like a landfill site, which obviously I'm going to put in the industrial region as close as possible to the other polluting buildings so we keep them out of the, you know, the public eye. And that will actually automatically create garbage trucks and stuff that'll go throughout our city and take care of that. And we should put down a clinic as well, and we'll put this, I'm going to put the clinic like here in the semi-residential area, so it's close to this high, like the lowest traffic density, I think is what I'm trying to get at here. Can we fit it in there? I don't want to bulldoze any buildings to put it down. We'll put it here. That should be fine. That's going to spread a very satisfying wave of happiness over our existing population in the city. And I do want to build an elementary school as well, so let's quickly take out a loan. And you can see here, it's going to cost us $21,000 to pay this back in a year with 5% interest. Not really that big of a deal. It costs us $403 a week, which is more than we're making right now. But it shouldn't be forever. And we'll use this loan to put down an elementary school like right here on this corner, and people will be pretty stoked with me. What's up with this tweeting thing at the top? This is basically how you get feedback from the people in your city. They will tweet and they'll say things like, "Great job, Mayor, you're awesome." And I'm like, I know. Healthcare for everybody. Citizens flock to get treatment for various ailments. Yeah, so people are pretty stoked about that. And when things start to go wrong, and they will also not be hesitant to let me know about what's going on there. So I figured we'd just finish this road here to deal with any traffic problems we might end up with later. And it's going pretty well so far. We're at 562 people, gaining a little bit over 100 a week. Admittedly, we're not doing fantastically with respect to our finances, but we'll start to gain more money as we get more and more people in the city, as their land values go up and they pay more tax, and as more and more businesses pop up. We do have a couple of things to worry about. You might notice this pop-up show up a lot. This is a pop-up that means not enough workers. And what that could mean is that we need more residences in the city, more residents, I guess I should say, in the city, so that they're actually able to hire more people to actually run their business appropriately. What business is this? Garments Limited. Okay, not enough people to run a garment factory, and, you know, here, not enough people to make ice cubes. That seems totally logical to me. I mean, that's a really labor-intensive job. No offense to those of you out there who do, you know, work in the very lucrative and cool industry known as ice cube creation, but anyway. I thought it was Dr. Dre that created Ice Cube. Where's my laugh button? Anyway, it could also mean that there's just like not an easy way for people to actually get to this place. But I think right now it's probably that our population can't support it, because we're still only at 625 people. With a decent demand for some residential areas, admittedly, which strikes me as a bit false, considering we've got some areas that are not filled in yet. But there is a little bit of a delay as these graphs kind of like adjust to what you've built. And I don't want to spend too much money yet for a couple of reasons. Spending money expanding is great. It lets your city grow faster, but it also makes it so that you need to spend more money. The more money you spend, the more you have to spend. You can see our power graph here. As more residents move into the city and more businesses move into the city, we will have less electricity available. We'll have to build another power plant. The same thing will come true for our water and sewage, and the same thing will come true for our garbage as well. Like, our landfill is going to get filled up as time goes on, and we'll have to build more of them, or build an incineration factory. So I think my principal problem with the way that I'd played the game in the past is that I've spent way too much money in the early game leveling things up as quickly as possible, and it's ended up biting me in the ass. And it's not something that is necessarily always in your best interest. But anyway, it's going pretty well for right now, and I don't need to be necessarily super conservative about things just yet. Like, we still got a pretty good amount of goodwill with our people here. So unfortunately, this will bulldoze a couple of houses, but that's okay. We'll bulldoze a couple of houses to make a lot more houses in the interim period, and that should be good. So we'll build like another pretty tightly connected city block here. Now, all that we're doing here, while we're making more residential zones, is giving them basically like the smallest yards possible. And that might seem shitty, but I'm probably in the future just going to turn this into high-density residential areas, which will be like apartment buildings. And like this will be like a high-density commercial region, like a downtown core to the city, basically, which will allow me to have even more residents move in. So we're getting 52 residents a week. I would expect that this will get even larger as we've just added like a new subdivision to our community here, and we'll make sure that this is ready for all the people that want to move in just by making sure that they got water, and assuming they build out in a logical fashion, they should have power supplemented to all of them as well. So the city's going okay so far. I should probably speed up the time a little bit. I wish that it would grow a little bit faster, and it seems that like growth is actually, it was slowing down at least a little bit there. Hopefully that'll be taken care of pretty soon here. I do see some more buildings popping up. I want more industry, and I want more residential. And I want more commercial, but like there's not that much demand for commercial yet. There's still a lot of unused space. I find that, you know, the industry comes, and then the people come because there's industry there, and then the commercial comes because there's people there. I'm not 100% sure if it's that linear and that cut and dry, but that's the philosophy that I've been building my cities on in the past year. You might be seeing like the water pop up. It takes a second for them to get their water. You know, when you move to a new place and like your internet doesn't get set up for like, 2 weeks? This is what's going on here, basically. Anyway, we're making an okay amount of money considering that we're paying back our loan at the same time. And we're making a decent amount of population growth, and our city's starting to get a little larger here. As you can see, we're not going to fill up this plot anytime soon. And we actually, this is not really, I don't want to call it a sandbox game. There is a sandbox mode where you can go in and you can play and not have to worry about money and just build whatever kind of design for a city that you want to build. But that's not really what this mode is. This mode is all about managing like the economic and social pressures of running running a city. So we'll probably end up in a situation where a city collapses or nearly collapses, and that's a little dangerous. What's our next milestone? 1,000? 1,000. When we hit 1,000 people, we get districts, which are cool, policies, which are cool, and fire department and police, which we will absolutely have to build. All right, so we did just reach that milestone. Let's talk about districts, because districts are one of the coolest things of the game that actually gives our city kind of an identity. So if we look at our zones here, I've got like industry, residential, commercial. I'm going to divide this into 2 zones right now. 2 districts, I should say. So we'll just take our little paintbrush here, and we'll paint like a line here, and we'll go up for now, just in case we need to do this in the future. And we'll kind of create like a flat edge here. And this is going to look a little messy, but that's largely on me. And we can, I want this all to be in the same district. Yeah, there we go. So this is now what I would consider to be our industry district. And I'm not going to call it High Park. I think High Park is a good name for it. I'm going to call this the Industrial Corridor or something like that. You can name it whatever you want. And then we'll go to our district map here, and we'll take out our big brush again, and I'll paint over everything else. Beach Square is a pretty good name. I kind of want to name these over after like Vancouver districts. This could be like, Yaletown or something like that. Kitsilano. I'm just going to make sure I get a pretty good edge there. I don't really like Beach Square. I'm going to call this, I'm going to call this Yaletown. It's a Vancouver district, just at the entrance to downtown, which is what I would love this to be. Maybe a little bit of apartment buildings in the future, some shopping. It's easy for us to do. And you might be saying, well, what's the point of, like, putting that on there except as, like, a cool kind of, like, thematic touch? There's actually a very good reason to district your city, and that's these policies over here. So you can actually, well, the policies are basically like, laws or bylaws that apply to different parts of the city, or the whole city. So you could say smoke detectors distribution. It's 5 cents per building, but it gives citizens smoke detectors, so for every building, there will be a significantly reduced risk of fire. That seems awesome. Let's make that active on our whole city. So our whole city is going to get smoke detectors, and as I unpause, you'll see our income will probably go down as we pay more upkeep for each building, but there will be a significantly reduced risk of fire, which is awesome. However, let's say, there's other stuff in here like free public transportation. Maybe you want to, or let's say smoking ban. Maybe you want to have a smoking ban only in like a residential and commercial area, and in the industrial area you want to say, you know what, you're on the job, you should be able to smoke. You could put different laws in different areas, or different bylaws in different areas of the city to kind of administer them effectively, which is really, really cool. Before I get too invested in that, let's throw down a fire department. And again, I want to put this on like a pretty major thoroughfare so that it doesn't have to worry about traffic. And we'll put down a police station like pretty much right next to it here. And that will lower our crime rate, or at least our ability to police it will be better, and we'll have fire engines as well. And basically, they're only affected by the distance that it takes to travel somewhere and the traffic as well. So let's look at our power. Power's starting to come down a little bit. One thing we can do, and I like to do this, even though it's expensive, is over our whole city, use the power usage bylaw, which costs 5 cents per building, but it has moderately reduced electricity consumption. It's going to be pretty expensive for us, and you'll watch our income go down again somewhat considerably as a result of using this. It might even go into the red. Yeah, it's getting pretty low, but we'll see. But as a result of that, our power consumption is going to be a lot lower, and that's going to be really good for us because it means that we won't have to build another power plant so quickly. So I think that's pretty important to do when you have the opportunity to do so. Even if it is financially a little scary. I'm thinking that we'll probably dip into the black for a little while, and then we'll come out on the other side as we get more and more people that move into our city, and they're like, hey, this is good for the environment. But we are losing, as of right now, like 1,000 a week. Oh, but it's coming back up. We must have had some more buildings. You might have heard like a little tongue sound as well. That tongue sound basically means that there is a building has been upgraded. So I'm not sure which building it actually was. But as time goes on, buildings will get upgraded, and that will raise their land value, effectively making them a lot. Well, they'll pay more tax, they'll generate more money for our city, and that'll be good. So I want to bulldoze this shit right here, and I haven't actually figured out an easy way to do this. Like these power lines, get out of here. Oh, well that was super easy. Now that our power is spreading naturally throughout the city, we can bulldoze that so there's actually more industrial space that isn't going to cost us anything extra to build. And how's our demand looking right now? Kind of low demand for everything. Residential is the highest demand, which is very common. That's going pretty well right now, honestly. Police offer small storage spaces with secure doors for rent. Call 911 for more information. Get it? A lot of people, you know, they've seen this bird and they've been like, man, that's really annoying. I kind of like it for the feedback, but it is, it's unfortunate that, like, oftentimes, at least in the early game, it just keeps telling you the same stuff over and over. But anyway, we're only losing 500 credits a week, which is not that bad right now. And again, as more people come in, that'll get better and better for us. And we should reach a new milestone with new unlockable buildings soon. So the next one is 1,600. That'll allow us to get a high school. And also, it unlocks the Parks and Recreation policy and park decorations, which basically, again, just improve land value. And what's interesting, and I haven't gotten too deep into this, is that every kind of citizen, I wanted to call them Sims there, but every citizen that lives in the game has like wants and desires and health and a job and a route that they take to their job, and that's all simulated. So if you put like a park near someone, in an area of effect, that will improve their land value, improve their happiness, improve their health, and other stuff like that. So you really have to watch this kind of like butterfly effect kind of stuff that can happen here. By the way, you can rename like straight up everything in the game. Like this is Neighborhood Shop. Why don't we call this like Susie's Sexual Emporium? It's a low density commercial building operating normally. Congratulations, Susie. I'm very happy for you there. So we can do that if we want to, but I'm not going to micromanage to that degree. I just wanted to show that you could. Does someone know how much this energy meter consumes? Hashtag electricity. You can't really turn this off either, but for the most part, it provides you with some interesting feedback in the early game, but eventually I think you just kind of come to ignore it. Ah, there we go. So we got a $20,000 grant there. We got decorations, unique buildings, which we can't use yet, but I'll talk about them, and then we got some new, you know, policies that we can use. I'm not going to ban smoking. It raises health, lowers happiness. Can be useful for some kind of like if you want to build like a health-focused city or something like that. Parks and Recreation, moderately increased land value around parks and plazas, increases decoration budget by 20%. So that'll be a little expensive. Probably don't want to do it now, but maybe in the future if we have cash. And a pet ban reduces happiness and reduces garbage accumulation, which is actually pretty useful, but I'm not going to do it because, you know, I have pets and I wouldn't feel right about it. But we did gain, let's talk about unique buildings first. So unique buildings are these things. You need to get a certain amount of, a certain condition basically before you can do it. So for this one, fill 3 cemeteries. Then you can build a Plaza of the Dead. And I don't know what the Plaza of the Dead gives you. It's required for building the fusion plant. That's kind of funny. Or a Statue of Wealth. If you have $500,000, you can now build a Statue of Wealth, which is a requirement for the space elevator. So you can build monuments that basically allow tourists a greater impetus to come to your city, which is interesting. I've never actually reached them yet, though. Hopefully we will over the course of this city. It's going all right so far. We also got parks, so I'll just throw down like a very simple, you know, like, we can make like paved pathways as well. Before we do parks, so like if there's a space between some buildings, which it doesn't look like there really is, but if there was a space between some buildings, we could go like, hey, you know, there's a plaza that we, or here's a space that we just built a footpath on, and now you can walk like behind this to get to this building. We've segmented the areas a bit. I don't know if this is going to help us here, or alleviate traffic or whatever, but you can also, you know, when there's space that you don't need, you can just like put trees in the back here, and like, no one's going to be building houses there because they have to build them roadside. So we can just do that for our own decorations, but you can pop down, like, a small park, for example, and, you know, nobody's using this land right here, so why don't we throw... I'm trying to throw it in a place where it's not going to fuck up our roads. Like, why... Yeah, that's perfect right there. We'll throw down a small park, and you can see that incredibly satisfying wave of happiness go out in an area of effect there. We're going to be done with this video in about, you know, 45 seconds or so. I am taking a cue from a Roomba, and because this game is easy to lose yourself in, I'm using a timer. So these episodes are going to be about a half hour long each, once we get to a logical stopping point, at least. So let's just take a quick gander on what's going to be coming up in the next episode. We're going to be trying to reach 2,800 to unlock public transportation, and then we can plan some bus routes for Scumtopia here, which is honestly going pretty well. And looks like there's a decent demand for residential. So before the episode actually ends, why don't I just take the opportunity to expand our residential areas out just a little bit more. And of course, this will completely destroy the businesses that had occupied that space. But that's okay. Oh, I gotta change that alarm sound. That one's not good. Alright. So we'll just get this zoned out, and then we'll, we should be good to go. On the next episode, I'm assuming that we'll need to get some increased, like, power production as well. Even with that energy consumption bylaw, we're getting a little low, so I might have to take out a second loan in order to get that done, but it should be worthwhile if we can actually make it happen. Let's zone this up quickly. I prefer to use, like, the paintbrush for this stuff. You can't paint over stuff, so it actually is pretty convenient if you just kind of, like, guide your mouse along here. It's like the lines are rigid, so you don't actually have to worry about painting outside of them. Oh, I right-clicked there and took out a lot. I think that's pretty much as good as it gets. Alright, so that'll do it for the first episode. As always, if you enjoyed the episode, especially because this is episode 1 of a brand new series, take the time, if you enjoyed it, and if and only if, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. There will be more episodes of this on a daily or maybe even twice daily basis. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And subscribe if you want to see more in the future. I'll be back with another one very shortly. See you then.